Okay, I'm just gonna post the link right now. Alright, and then we can, oh, I should probably turn my own volume off because next thing you know it will loop the audio. Alright, and here we go. Alright, today we are going to be animating a large amount of the stuff has already been accomplished, so let's look at what we have so far. Alright, I did everything in a pad. I'm trying to go a little slow because of video buffering. Okay, there we go. So we will be animating that. I'm just going to gently move my microphone right now. Try not to make any loud noise. Key thing whenever you have a microphone is to try to have it above where you're going to be speaking, so that way you don't blow a whole bunch of air into it. Like, yeah, that's not a good sound when you hear the okay. We will be animating traditionally though. Okay. Now let's put something right here so that the book has a little bit of leverage there. We're just going to be inking this so that we can scan all the images later. And this is a very time-consuming process. If I was able to animate on the computer successfully, it would take less time, but as it stands, this is the way that I do it. Here we go. Already making a little headway. There we go. And of course, I'm not the best animator, so this isn't going to be 100% consistent all the way through. But I think for the short scene that I'm creating, it's going to be fine. This will be spoofing the black magic sequence from the three Caballeros. Quebecois. The three Quebecois. My favorite Donald Dork movie. Speaking of Donald, Trump's going to be president tomorrow. Isn't that exciting fact of life? That's going to date this video as well. People in the future are going to look at this video and be like, what? A video before Donald Trump being president? Oh, how adorable. I always hate it to watch a 1980s comedy special because they'll always talk about Reagan, and it'll be like something very specific that the people of the time know, but nobody from this time period knows. So it'll be a very introspective, like, it'll be a really good ranting, like, comedy segment, and then all of a sudden, you know, and then Reagan did what? Yeah, don't really much appreciate political humor. I think political satire is valid, it's just, it doesn't age well. Yep. I think I have like a good 50, 60 frames of this. So this will take quite some time. I'm not going to be erasing any of the lines on this stream. There we go. Let me just click something on my computer. Okay. Yep. A lot of people end up asking, I think most artists, oh, when did you start drawing? And you know, I think the real question is, when did you start drawing this quality? But I don't know. I mean, the real answer is, whenever you were able to hold a pencil. I think they're waiting out for that one guy to be like, man, I just picked this up like 2 days ago, and look how great I am. But the reality is that it takes a very long time to get your hand-eye coordination together, finding an art style, and all that kind of stuff. Art is something that's very strained. It takes a lot of time, and there's not much return for your efforts. But it's a fantastic way to express oneself and express what's on one's mind. I stay true to that. I draw what I want, and that's kind of the reason why I started drawing. In the darker days of the internet, when Homestar Runner was still popular, there was a time where there'd be fetish artists, and there'd be a very few select good ones that you could go to, and there would be a huge gap between each one of their images. Like, oh man, I gotta wait another fucking month for this artist to make a new image, And most of the time, it's just images that don't excite you at all. That's no fun. So I told myself, if I can get this drawing thing going down, I can make something good. Oh boy, I got some people in the chat already. Isn't that great? Because YouTube doesn't record the chat off to the side, whenever I comment towards the chat, I will bring it up in the video for future archiving purposes. So, hello chat. So, for those of you not in the know or just entering, I'm Cleverfoxman. I will be animating a sequence today. I'm basically doing the line work. It's in this entire booklet here, so it's got 50 sheets. That means this entire thing has about 50 frames. And it's a homage to the black magic scene in the Three Caballeros. So we're going to get through all of this crap, hopefully tonight. If not, I'll do some on my own, and I'll do the erasings off screen. I might have a separate video that I'm going to do where I actually show how I edit animations. That might be interesting. Okay. I think the most dangerous part about streaming is you always have to find some way to keep talking, and my stream of consciousness skills are very terrible. You'll hear me make audible sounds like and all the time, almost as if I'm like an airplane pilot or something. Roger, this is your captain speaking. You look over to the left side of the aircraft. I think I know why they go in the aircraft now. It's because they're trying to fly the plane and they're also talking at the same time. I'm drawing and I'm also speaking at the same time, so I think when your mind is occupied with something, it has a really hard time trying to create words at that same time. There we go. Normally I would be doing an animation. Normally I'd be doing an animation with a thicker pen. Huh. But I think I might be experiencing some technical difficulties, so I need to make a short check real quick. You're going to hear some clicking. Alright, my channel, my stream. Nope, we're good. Just making sure. The last thing I'd want is to be talking to myself for God knows how long. That'd be really weird. I'm a weird guy, but I don't talk to myself, okay? Okay. Or do I? Guess I'd technically be talking to myself now, since there's no actual audience. Does that mean I'm crazy? Who knows? I don't know why that's a sign of crazy if you're talking to yourself. I think that's a healthy coping mechanism. It also allows you to think aloud. Okay, let's check the previous frame. Okay. A family member sent me this booklet from Germany. These are actually used to write letters, and I just found it really handy that you could use it to animate flipbook style. I think a lot of flipbook animation programs are really terrible. One that was actually kind of good was the one on the DS, but the resolution on the screen there is very terrible. So you'd have, like, you could make really cool animations that required a little amount of effort or know-how, but the quality would be just awful. And then I wanted to pioneer it a little bit. I added some sound to it, and that was really hard because I used Flash for that. Didn't use Flash to animate, used the DS to animate, used Flash to put sound on it to post it. I don't know, very strange turn of events. On this frame, we're going to do stretching. So this is an art technique to simulate, what's it called, motion blur, or the emptiness between frames. I'm not going to be doing any in-betweens. This is just going to be like a simple GIF animation. GIF. I prefer to use the acronym. Just say GIF, but, you know. guess it doesn't really matter. As long as people get the point, that's language. Yeah, I think that's fine. Here we go. Not to take a little bit away from Bob Ross, but if you're tuning in at home and you want to do animations, just follow my lead. Get one of these kind of flip book things, even if it has lines in it. You can practice your animation skills on a block like this. It has lines. They're not expensive. You can get like a pack of them for $3 at Walmart. And then all you need to do is have a pencil and imagination. And besides, you have a million tutorials that you can use online. There we go. I was tossing around the idea of having different segments for this live streaming thing. I thought it would be a really neat idea. I wouldn't really know what to talk about, but I think I could make it work. Keep it expansion related. That way, y'all can, get something out of it. I don't think there's enough explanation of fetish material online, and I think if there's more exposure to it, it's less of something weird and strange and more something that's understandable. I think every single, thing that you can admire on this planet has a sexualization of it. I mean, just think about sports fans. I'm pretty sure there's a few sport fans out there who really, really like the athletes a little bit more than most sport fans. I think that's a good analogy of what, fetishes are. There's people who like this joke, but then there's people who really, really like this joke. We have the character blowing air into their thumb like a cartoon. It's very cartoonish kind of deal going on here. A long time ago, there's an artist online called Milky Body. Sounds really creepy to say it like that, but he shortens it to Mabo. And he did a short image pack, or an image series, I should say, where or he did a kind of adult parody of this sequence. And he said, "Oh, I'd really like to actually do an animation of it in the future." And in his stream, when he said that, I told him, "I'm gonna beat you to it." And I think that's what I'm doing here today. He's a really good guy. haven't really talked to him at all, but he's one of the artists that I was talking about earlier that really inspired me to start drawing this. There might be some people out there who say, "Oh, that's the bad thing. You should blame this person." No, no. I would have drawn something weird. I do have some kind of talent, although I think it's mainly persistence. If you go back to my old gallery, Inflationism on DeviantArt, it's, for lack of a better term, garbage. I don't like any of the older stuff. I do realize that there are fans out there, or people who really like the images and don't want them to go away. And there might be new fans who might like the older stuff, even though I think it's bad. So I keep it up, but I don't post there anymore. But if you want to see really bad, see like the first, like date-wise, you see the first image that was posted to there. It's not very good. If I don't have a little bit of consistency, her knees are gonna keep switching where they are, and that's not good. Sometimes you can just cheat knees by just drawing a little line. I'm actually debating if I'm gonna add color and sound to this. I think I should. If I'm gonna go through the effort of drawing this character 50 million times, I think I should, honor that a little bit. Boop. This is where the character's hand starts to expand. There we go. I did something very strange today that I haven't done since I was 16, many years ago. Actually, wow, you know what? 16. That's actually quite a while ago. Anywho, I picked up a pack of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Actually, 2 packs of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. They had these retro packs of Seto Kaiba and Yugi. I was like, oh shit. That's my generation of crap. That's like my nostalgia. So it's like, oh man, this brings me back to the good old days. Apparently, I haven't played the card game in forever, but apparently they changed so many rules that it's near unplayable, and that's almost it was like a Konami decision to just keep adding more cards and more extra rules, and it just unbalanced the game from like the older cards to the newer cards. I guess, marketing wise, you still want people to buy the newest cards to stay strong, but I don't know. I think you had something really good going, and then you kind of ruined the rules. That's my opinion, though. If you like the new Yu-Gi-Oh, I'm not going to take that away from you. If you find that system to work for you and you have fun, that's perfectly fine. I'm just an old bastard who's like, the good old days. I guess I would be considered a millennial, even though when I was growing up I didn't really have a computer. I only had a computer when I was, God, the year 2000, I think we got a gateway computer, and I don't know if you know what a gateway computer is, but that's the computer with the cow packaging. You know, the cow stripe, the spots on the package. We thought that computer was garbage, and like right after getting it, we put it back in the box and brought it back. And instead, we just got a straight up Windows. And I had that Windows for a very, very long time. Even though my dad switched to a better computer for himself and the home computer, I got to keep that computer as my personal computer. And it just got so bad to the point where it would just blue screen every single time you turned it on. And yet I found a way to go around that. And eventually we gave it away, and I was like, oh man, that's bullshit. But then I got a newer computer as like a surprise gift. I was like, oh, I thought that was really special. Interestingly enough, that HP computer was the one where I started to go on the internet for the first time. I must have been like 12 or something. So yeah, I guess I did grow up with computers, but they're not the cool computers we have today. They were like blocky fucking things that ruined your eyesight. Wonder all millennials have glasses because, you know, the earlier computers, they shot light into your face, and they were fairly close. Like TVs, you know, you could have some distance. With a computer, you're sitting at a desk with it in front of you, and you have to read some shit off of it. So that was always problematic, and that's probably why I have very crap vision. It's actually not that bad. I can still see. I could drive without my glasses, but I wouldn't want to. I think that would be the best way to explain my vision. Like when people put my glasses on, you know, it's kind of the reverse. So if they have 20/20, put my glasses on, then they see what I would typically be seeing. And they'd be like, oh, well, this isn't that bad. This isn't, you know. And I know it isn't, but I had a very bad history in school of having headaches before I wore glasses because I didn't know my vision got terrible, or my vision diminished from 20/20. So I would be looking and trying to read stuff off of the dry erase board, and it would cause me to get headaches all the time, to the point where after a while I got chronic migraines, and that was no fun. That was not a fun part of my life that I wish to repeat. I think one thing that, you know, talking about all this, me being a younger me, it just made me realize that, you know, human beings really are animals, and sex drives are part of nature, because I remember drawing pictures of naked people back then, and I don't think that's really anything wrong with that. But, you know, I think the media and a lot of people say, oh, well, think of the children, you know. And I think the biggest problem with that is I think children are tiny adults, you know. Children do grasp a lot of concepts, and a lot of people take that for granted, you know. Like at an early age, a kid, I think that's the reason why you get pets, really, you know. Kids grasp the concept of death fairly early in life. Kids also grasp the concept of a lot of different things very early, you know. Uh, they're fairly intelligent, and I don't think, you know, Whenever people are like, "Oh, this movie is terrible," but it's for kids, so it's fine. I don't think that's fine. I think children are a lot smarter than a lot of people think. Sure, younger kids are still learning things, but they have the processing power to learn. I think in a lot of cases, they have the processing power to learn at a much faster rate than older people. I mean, just looking at an example of technology. If you give a very young person a computer, sure, they might not know exactly what they're doing right off the bat, but I think the ability to play with something and to test things out that you wouldn't perceive something to have gives you an edge in learning. And I think in that way, children are actually very, very, very smart. And that's why I give them a lot more credit than they are due. Oh, I get very long-winded whenever I do one of these, especially if I'm just rambling to myself. If anyone in the live chat has any questions they want to ask, I'll be happy to answer them. I wouldn't mind because I always struggle to find something to say. And when I do say something, I start to ramble off in 1,000 directions. And whenever I make friends, I tell them I draw weird stuff right off the bat because I don't like keeping that a secret. Because if you're somebody who's disgusted by that, it's part of what I do and it's part of who I am. And if you just can't accept that part, I'd like to get that out of the way first. Otherwise, there's a strange anxiety that gets created, where I have to constantly try to avoid bringing this up. So, whenever I meet somebody, after like, if I say, "Oh, I'm going to hang out with this person a lot more than I thought," I'd bring it up. If there's one thing I hate, it's awkward drama. It's probably why I hate comedies nowadays. I already talked about how I hate comedies, but so Bird Hoovy asks, "I'm trying to animate. I'm trying animation a bit. Any tips?" Well, I think the biggest tip is coffee. Coffee is very important. If you want to get through animating something for a very long, extensive period of time, no, that's a joke, of course. You don't really need coffee. I think the biggest thing is to try to get rid of as many distractions as possible while animating. Um, that's not to say, you can't listen to music while animating or something like that. I'm just saying, like, if you're going to listen to music, listen to something that doesn't take away the attention of what you're doing. Don't have Facebook open. Don't do because once you start doing something like that, you're no longer animating. You're doing something else, and eventually, you'll start to procrastinate, and that's no good. Procrastination is the biggest killer of animation. I think the reason why a lot of YouTube animators don't animate, it's not because of the algorithm. If you have any sense in business, you'd find a way around that. You could create your own venue to sell your animations. You could be an entrepreneur about that. That's not the big issue. I think the biggest issue, especially for a lot of people, is procrastination. And in a world where you animate on the computer, you also have all of the distractions that come with the computer. I think that's another reason why I like to animate on paper. There's a lot of bells and whistle on the computer that, are just not necessary. And in a lot of ways, the computer hinders you in the actual programming. And not only that, unless I spill a drink on this piece of paper or my house just suddenly combusts, you know, I'm not going to lose progress on this. I'm not. If my computer crashes, done. If my house loses electricity, I can't work on this. If I did it on the computer. So this has the advantage of, I could animate this literally anywhere without any source of power. Of course, later on, I'll have to put it in the computer so that people can see it, and I'll have to edit that. But up until that point, the biggest hurdle is drawing all of the frames. Okay. The same person states that they've been drawing on their 3DS. I have been talking about the 3DS, and I think that's a very, very good platform to animate on. It has a Cintiq monitor in it, and that's a really cool thing. I think, it's a good stepping stone to learn animation. If you want to learn a lot of technique, I believe online there's a video series that Happy Harry did, Who Ha To How To's, where he has a multi-part video series. If you want to check out that tutorial, go right ahead, because even though he doesn't use the DS, he does talk about a lot of animation concepts like stretching, skewing, different animation styles. Like this is very traditional, like frame by frame animation. There are other types of animations like tweening and keyframing, like if you're using a specific editing software. And all of those are valid. The biggest thing is, what are you trying to achieve? I think another big thing for animation is plan it out beforehand. Like, find out what the audio is going to be. Like, if you have dialogue, write all of it before you start animating. Record it all before you start animating. Because if you do that, most of it's already done. And if you do that, record really good quality audio. Because you can have the crappiest images on the planet, and yet if the audio and the story are good, they pick up the slack. Hmm. The person just brought up, what is their name again? Daisuke Sakazakazakaza. It's a very long Japanese name. They said, I can animate CG. Well, the really cool thing about CG is that in the way that you keyframe in that, you can actually get extremely subtle movements without having to create thousands and thousands and thousands of images that are completely different. So if I want to have this character breathing slightly, I have to make thousands upon thousands of images, when on a computer you can just tweak it and play around with it without having to use up physical material. And I think that's really interesting. Not only that, I think computer graphics have gotten to the point where texturing has become very good. So it doesn't all look like extremely plastic imagery. If you want to animate CG, once again, there's millions of tutorials online. I would suggest, if you find a tutorial, skip through it to see what the final product is, and if that's something that interests you, then watch the whole thing. That's a tip for watching tutorials in general. If you don't like the final product, what was the point of watching the tutorial in the first place? Life lessons. Poptown34 asks, do you play any video games or just do art? I do play video games, but I haven't streamed any. I mean, if you guys would be interested in that, I could set something up. But, yeah, I do play video games a lot. Right next to the computer is a PlayStation 3. I have a whole library of classic games. I recently bought Maniac Mansion for the NES from a thrift store, and I'm really proud of that because I really wanted to get a hold of it, but for some reason or another, it's either too expensive for what it is, or it's just impossible to get. I say impossible. Anything's possible on the internet, but laziness, laziness and budget constraints, those are the biggest things. I got it for a fairly good deal. Oh, that's cool. I might stream games. I'm not entirely sure. The thing is, I'm really good at very specific games, but anything outside of that, I wouldn't be that good at. I don't know. Not only that, I'm not really big into the computer gaming scene. I'm a very console-based person, and the only video capture I have is actually pretty piss poor. It's like VHS quality. Oh, that's one thing I want to talk about real quick. VHSs. So I have a lot of VHSs. I grew up in the time period where, those were still in use. And that VHS effect that people do to like simulate VHSs, all those scan lines and shit, that's not what a VHS actually looked like. When you watched it on a glass TV with interlaced scanning, it would look perfectly fine. You'd be watching the movie and you wouldn't see any fucking scan lines, marks, or something. Your VHS player or the VHS tape itself would have to be in really shit quality in order for you to do that. The reason why it looks like that when you film it, like if you look at it, it's fine, but if you put it on a camera, it looks really weird and ugly. The reason for that is the frame rate of the camera is the way that interlaced scanning works is it creates an image by cycling images through a bunch of lines that exist in the screen. So it will shoot lines of color and images across the screen multiple times in order to create an image. What happens is due to the camera's high frame rate, it picks up those images, but not at the same frame rate that those images are being created. So you end up seeing all of those scan lines that the human eye doesn't see. Learning shit. If you can, somebody stated that if you can draw really good but can't animate, if you can create a picture that looks really good and then just add a voice to it and then add another picture, instead of animating it, you have an audio story and then having pictures that portray what goes on in that story. I think, you don't have to be good at animating, but you're creating something and it would be unique. It would be a story that didn't take a lot of budget. And since you're not really attached to any kind of like production studio or anything. You can tell whatever story you want. And I think that's the biggest thing. Pardon me. Like the last stream I made an extremely generic inflation comic, and anybody can do that. Anybody can create a really, really generic piece of material. Not everyone can tell an interesting story, or it doesn't even have to be interesting. It just needs to be well paced and entertaining. The Room by Tommy Wiseau is a movie that's not particularly good, and it's not particularly well made. However, it's very entertaining. I think the biggest sin for any kind of material is to be boring, because the idea of entertainment is to, you know, take yourself out of real life for a moment and experience something that's a little bit more interesting, or something that's a little bit more different. If something's different and entertaining, that's great. But if something's just boring, that's just garbage. That's why I hate a lot of modern movies that try to have a lot of imagery over substance. Do I have social media? Not really, no, I don't think so. Oh, I think there's a Facebook that you can follow. Um, Jesus, I should make a Twitter. I think I might have a Twitter, but I don't use it at all. Oh, I have a Tumblr. I have a Tumblr account. Cleverfoxman Tumblr. If you guys want to like see my stuff, contact me and I don't know, chat or something, or stay in the whereabouts. Either go to one of my galleries or go to Tumblr. I don't like Twitter. I don't really use Facebook. That's more of like a family thing. I do have a Cleverfoxman Facebook, but I never go on to it. Okay, so let's review what we have so far. We're making a good headway. I mean, we're almost an hour in. There we go. Boom. So now we have the hand that's really big. I'm sorry if you're picking up a lot of my weird nostril sounds and breathing from the microphone. It's fairly close to my face. Trying to minimize that as good as I can. I think in a good 15 to 20 minutes I might have a really quick bathroom break, if you guys will allow me that. Wow, that's not good. Goodness gravy. I have an AS and what the fuck is this called? Somebody states that I have an ASMR kind of quality to my voice. I think that's mainly because I don't want to shout in the microphone, and my tired, sick voice is very, I don't know, it's very rambly. And oh, I think the other thing is that with art, uh, if I talk while drawing, I kind of channel some of that. I channel some of the Bob Ross in me. I really like Bob Ross. I think his very peaceful mindset is very relaxing, especially in a day and age where people constantly hate. Like, it's good to hate things, there is humor in hating things. You say, oh, this movie's bad, let's laugh at it. But I think if you consume yourself with that, it's very harmful to your health. And then instead of it being a joke, it starts to become something more of like actual hate, you know. And then you kind of seek hate out. I think the positivity is very good. That's ironic because I'm a pessimist. Do I watch any YouTubers? Oh God, yes. I watch a lot of people. Um, I listen. I watch a lot of people. Goodness gravy. I had a mind blank there for a moment. My apologies. I listen to. Um, let's see. I watch the Game Grumps. They're pretty good. Once in a while, they'll have something that really makes me laugh. I used to watch a lot of Markiplier, but I think for some reason or another, he's switched his target audience to younger people. So for some reason or another, I just can't watch anything made by him anymore. I like Yahtzee Kershaw. He's the guy who makes what's the name? The show with the punctuation, zero punctuation. There we go. I really like zero punctuation, and I like well, he used to do a Let's Play YouTube with his friend in Australia before he moved, and that was pretty good. That actually inspired me to create video games, and I thank him for it. That's mainly what I watch. Oh, I also watch Cinema Snob just because he constantly just produces shit, and I think that's awesome. Like, no matter what, Cinema Snob will always have an episode every single week. Even if it's bad, he'll make one. I think that's neat. It's admirable. I'm going to have to tilt the canvas just a little bit. I call it a canvas. It's a very computer thing to call it. I'm just going to shift the paper over. I've got to put it on camera, that way you can fucking see it. Have this still be a little puffy. For a while I thought that I wouldn't be able to do this on YouTube, mainly because they don't like adult stuff, but if I keep it PG, PG-13, like no nudity, no gratuitous violence, I think I can, I think I can still do this. I think that's a good thing too. I mean, I create enough adult work. I think I can do some stuff that's more lighthearted. I'm a very violent person when it comes to media. I like stuff that just really goes all out in the gore and the blood and shit. I say PG-13 and then I say shit right afterwards. Yeah, great. I think the imagery is more important than the words. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm reading your comments and that makes me stop for a moment. There we go. Character's kind of bent over now. I think a lot of the swift motion has stopped. So it went from being in her hand. Let's go back for a moment. So it starts off with the character blowing into their hand. They blow their hand up. And then it comes to the realization, oh shit. And then it gets really big. And then it shoots back into the character. And then it shifts. I think the next step is actually going straight to the butt. And then it shoots back up to the chest. And then it shoots all over. And you know the rest. Or do you? Dun dun dun. I hate you know the rest. It's presuming that I know how you think, and I really hated that when people did that in high school, so I shouldn't presume what other people think right off the bat. I know it's a very nitpicky kind of thing about myself, but I'm only human. I hope I'm providing something that's just a little bit different, because a lot of people who do animation streams or something like that really do it on the computer. And, I try to have really good lighting so that you can get the whole image. If I may, I will look at the computer so I may see what your stuff is. Let's see here. Let's see. Oh, I don't know. I think I might have skipped a few things, but oh well. Moving on, stream of consciousness kind of deal. Yeah, if you have any more questions, just keep them coming. When I turn away to look at the monitor to see if the stream's still alive, I'll try to talk about as many as I can. If I don't get to your question or I end up skipping it, I'm going to do a lot more live streams. So just keep asking the question. I wouldn't say like spam the question, but just ask again, and I might see it. I'm one guy with a camera on a stick and a light, so I can't be fully aware of what I'm doing and do the craft at the same time. But enough about my shortcomings. Let's talk about something. Because this character is really surprised. Oh, well, I think a lot of people don't tend to voice chat. Somebody brought up Arpegus 2002 brought up that a lot of people, when they do artistic streams, that they don't really do a lot of voice chatting. I think it is because it's a focus thing. A lot of people can't really focus while drawing, or they can't focus about talking while drawing. And it's a lot easier to just put on music. I have a very I have a wandering mind, and if I just listen to music, I tend to stop what I'm doing and just listen to the music. So if I just keep talking, I actually get more done, which is very strange. And a lot of people wouldn't think that that's how the creative process works. At least for me, it does. It's all about finding your way, and I think with art, if you do collaboration, it's also finding a way to compromise. Working with somebody can be a very big plus because then you don't have to worry about creating everything. The only problem is now you have to delegate what gets done, and if you're not very specific, you can end up with a very disjointed end product. Boop and a boop. So we have surprised Big Butt. Let's bring this up just a little bit like that. See, oh no. Oh, somebody has asked why I came up with the name for Cleverfoxman, and that's a very short and simple story. I was thinking about a name, right? I need a name, and it's like, oh well, foxes are clever, right? So I typed in Clever Fox, and that was taken. Like, obviously, that's such a simple and easy thing to come up with. So I was like, damn. What about Clever Foxman? But the reason why it was Clever Fox to begin with was mainly because, once again, I was thinking about a name that I could use, and I looked over to my right, and the cat box was there, the cat toilet. And the cat toilet brand was Clever Cat. So, in a way, the litter box of my cat is the deciding factor that created the name Clever Foxman. Has nothing to do with art, has nothing to do with my intellectual prowess, but I think it's a really good name. It's kind of like Kodak, where you can just say Clever Foxman. Boom, boom, boom. The way we create names is very stupid, but it's effective in the end. Are there any other animators that I watch on YouTube? Well, I used to watch a lot of Egoraptor. I think everyone who watched animations watched Egoraptor. Really liked his stuff. It's sad that he stopped. I hope that, now that he's doing the Game Grumps and he's having a good time doing live shows and he's part of a rap band, he's pursuing what he wants to do now. And that's perfectly acceptable. I just think that, the legacy of his animations and what his animations have done to inspire a whole bunch of other animators makes it just a little bit sad that he stopped. But you know what? Once again, he found happiness in what he does, and I can't take that away from him. I also watched Oni NG, and his pal Psychopebbles. I think they're very funny. I wouldn't recite anything from them because I don't want to get in trouble. Oh, you look like a sexy young thing, you. They're very harsh kind of comedy that's very off the cuff. And that's very respectable and admirable. I like that kind of unexpected strangeness humor. Basically, all of those Newgrounds guys. Goodness gravy. There's one girl that I also really like the art style of. I'm probably going to get the name wrong because it's like a short name. It's like Vizzy Pop or something like that. They did an animation of a Kesha song with anthropomorphic characters. Um, what was the song? It was Let's Make the Most of the Night, Die Young. That's what it is. Like We're Gonna Die Young or something like that. They made that animation, and I really, really like that art style. A lot of it comes from the fact that the way that she draws eyes really reminds me of Ed, Edd n Eddy for some reason. The eyes and the shape of the head, for some reason or another, reminds me of Ed, Edd n Eddy, and I find that really, really pleasing. My brain is like a filing cabinet. Um, I remember almost everything that I do. It's just for me to actually recall that information, I have to go through a weird metaphysical filing cabinet system in order to pull it out. So sometimes you'll just hear me just ramble for a little bit, and then I'll be like, "Oh yeah, that's the name of it." I think a lot of people can relate to that, but it's just very, very large in my, I don't know, existence. Large in my existence. Yep, didn't expect to say that today. Very strange turn of events. Um, so I am currently going to use the restroom. Um, don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. If anybody comes in and says, "Oh, what the fuck's going on? Where'd he go?" He went to the bathroom. All right. I will be back shortly. All right. I'm back. I need to put my headset on. You're gonna hear a weird crumbling sound. Uh, Poptown asks, "Do you have a girlfriend or wife?" I do have a girlfriend. Um, I have had 3 girlfriends in my lifetime, and my current girlfriend, I think, might be the one. She is a very beautiful lady. She's a little hefty, but she's losing weight, and I'm really proud of her. She went on a very, very long and strict diet, and she's also doing exercise. So I think that's really great. She's a very funny person too. She's Hawaiian. She's Hawaiian Japanese, and the funny thing is she's allergic to pineapples. I always found that really funny, and that's always a good laugh, you know. She's getting a little tired of it, but I think to introduce her, that's always a fun thing to bring up. And it's important too, because she's allergic to pineapples. Goodness. Man, I'm really blowing through these images. I'm really happy. Normally I can't get shit done, but lo and behold, the power of people watching you do something is actually really encouraging. Maybe it's, oh, you know what? Now that I think about it, it might be the way that I was brought up in school. Because in school, to get something done, you're always supervised by somebody. And if you aren't supervised by somebody, you'd fuck around and do nothing. So maybe school fucked up my mindset. Who knows? Uh, have another foot here. There we go. Have the face like that. Oh, yeah, somebody just brought up the fact that RPing makes them write better, and they get a lot of stuff done through RPing. Or role playing for those who are not in the know. I can't really, I don't really like role playing. I'm not really good at it. Like Dungeons and Dragons, yes, I'm really good at it, but when it comes to fetish stuff and sexual role playing, I'm not really that interested. And why should I be? I got a girlfriend. It's awesome. But yeah. So whenever somebody's like, I'll always get that random comment on my gallery, my messaging system on there, just, do you RP? And I'm like, no, I don't. Sorry. Oh, but come on. And I'm like, no, I don't. Sorry. Not my thing. It was my thing a while ago when I was desperate, but now it kind of lost its purpose in a way. Oh, I wouldn't call. Somebody asked if I have a job outside of this or YouTube. We're working on that. Let's just put it that way. But I don't think YouTube is really a job. I think once the political climate of the United States shits the fan, which is very possible, internet is part of the infrastructure of the United States. That's where I currently live. But if the infrastructure shits the bed, the internet is going to shit the bed, and then all of these people will have loss of job. But you know what? That's a hypothetical. It may or may not happen. It's just, a physical job that exists versus a job that could disappear very swiftly. I'm not going to take the chance on the second option. I mean, I'll use it to get extra cash, sure. I'd use the computer to get extra money, spending money, game money, other kind of stuff like that. But, for living expenses, I think a hard job is good. That's not to say that other people have to follow that regimen, but that's what I believe. All it takes is one. Forgive me for sounding like a conspiracy nut, but all it takes is one electromagnetic pulse to fuck all of this up. Send us back to the fucking 1950s. I don't make any money from YouTube, mainly because even though I have monetized, like, the amount of views I would need to get to make any cash from it is so crazy. I would need like millions and millions of people, and if I started making real cash from online, I really wouldn't know what to do with it. And I wouldn't feel like I earned it, even though, it's weird. I create content, right, for YouTube, but I don't feel like I would be earning that. It's weird. And I think that's a very wrong way to look at it. And I know it's a wrong way to look at it, but that's just how I feel about the whole situation. Money is money, I guess. I might have weird internal principles that keep me from doing that. Oh, my girlfriend's actually watching the stream. That's funny. She sent me a message. Oh, that's one thing I do right off the bat with any relationship too, is tell them about my deep dark desires. I think it's important, once again, to go back to the earlier conversation about, relationships and friendships and stuff like that. If the person that you want to get intimate with has objections to like inner psychological things like fetishes, you might want to like mention that close to the beginning so that they don't have any qualms about that. And heck, maybe, just maybe, you'll be able to change their entire mindset about the whole affair. Tell them, oh, I'm a really nice guy and I like this. And they'd be like, huh, I didn't expect that. Well, in high school, whenever I brought it up, they were like, I didn't even know inflation people actually existed outside of like the internet. I'm like, yes, they do. It's very rare. There's probably only like maybe on the entire planet 1 million people, probably less, who like this. Pretty sure there's a lot of people who watch it just because it's really fucking weird, though. Be like, oh, that's a strange thing. I'm gonna watch this. Once again, I'm rambling. Lord, I was born rambling, man. When it's time for leaving, I hope you understand. I was born a rambling man. God, I like music. I karaoke a lot. I know my voice right now isn't really stellar, but karaoke's fun. I need to raise this up a little bit because it's not showing up on the camera. I'm just looking up in the corner, just going to read some of your comments. Working. Goodness gracious me. Yeah. Lordy Lou. So, anyways, I also, while I went to the restroom, on the way, got myself a drink. Got myself sparkling water. Not a lot of people like carbonated water, but I think it's pretty good. Not only that, it's chock full of minerals and salts that are good for your body. Don't drink too much though, because you'll get sick. If you go to Europe and ask for a water, they will 9 times out of 10 give you a sparkling water. You would have to tell them in advance, I would like a water, just a regular water. That's the same thing if you order a pizza outside of the United States and there are actual Italians there. Don't ask for pepperoni because they will cover your shit in peppers, okay? And not like they will cover your shit in pepper, like black pepper. They don't know what pepperoni is. Pepperoni is like an American invention. If you want like anything that's close to pepperoni, you ask for salami in Europe. That's always a very important thing. I think I'm teaching you guys a lot of shit. I should have like a teaching show. Maybe I should quit my horrid ways of making fetish art and make like instructional booklets and fucking children's books. That'd be really funny. It'd be like a Dan Antonucci thing where I make really violent shit and then I make a children's cartoon that's really successful. Uh-oh. Alright, yeah. Yeah, let's see, is it working now? Yeah, I had a little bit of technical difficulties. I hope it's still working. Alright. Cool. Cool. I fixed that problem right off the bat, right off the get-go, because I was like, oh, shit. That's weird. Alright. So, a few more people have entered. I guess they left now. I always hate that whenever I have a stream. Like, people will enter, and there'll be a shitload of people then. It'll be like, oh, neat. And then for some reason, that's when I get some weird technical difficulty, like my camera fucks up or something, and then they leave immediately. It just makes me feel really, really self-conscious about me fucking up. Oh well. At least on YouTube, this will be recorded and re-uploaded. So, if you want to watch it as though it was a podcast or something, I think if I get enough videos, it'll be a great playlist. That's definitely how you can tell that I watch YouTube videos more than I produce them. It's I'm a watcher, and whenever I think about making a video, I think about it, in the eyes of somebody who'd end up watching it. I think that's why I took a lot of time and care in the inflation explanation video, because I know for a fact that if there's ever any kind of argument towards the fetish on YouTube, someone could easily link my video to it, and it would be a positive message about it. Okay, so let's look at what we have so far. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15. Oh, I skipped one. Oops. Let's do this one real quick. See, that's why we always review what we did. Alright. Goodness. One thing that always, like, there's always some kind of, I think, physical reason why someone might like a fetish, because, especially when it's, like, body related. Um, like, people who like feet probably like getting their feet held, getting their feet touched, getting their feet rubbed, or, doing other kind of perverse things with feet. Same thing with the stomach and every other body type. I don't know where I was going with this. Oh. No, I think that's stupid. I will take back what I was about to say. It's going to be something along the lines of like, oh, well, people who like inflation really like, their stomachs getting touched or something like that. But, I think that's kind of very, very obvious and stupid. I don't know. I think I self-degrade a lot. In some cases, it's very important to be able to be critical about oneself. Otherwise, you start making mistakes and not realizing them. To be too overcritical is a very big danger in your life, too. So finding a balance, that's what everything is about. Balance is really important. Goodness. Oh, I keep going back to stuff that I watch, because I don't think a lot of people talk about what they watch specifically on the internet or YouTube, especially in these kind of like commentary situations. Maybe they're just afraid of saying something negative about somebody or something along those lines, but I used to be, well, I still am, but it's not as much anymore. I used to be a really big fan of the Spoonie one, or the Spoonie experiment, with Noah Antweiler. He, if you get a review from him, he was really good at writing reviews, and he was really good at he was really good at having genuine emotion about something. So whenever he would talk about something, it would feel more real than a lot of other people. Like the Angry Video Game Nerd, I like him. I love him a lot, but you can tell it's like fake anger. With Spoonie, you could feel like, oh damn, this guy's really fucking pissed off about it, and he's a good writer to boot. So most of his stuff nowadays, though, it's strange. He doesn't really produce a lot of stuff, and I find that really sad and disheartening. He doesn't produce a lot, and he's very negative towards his fan base. So it it's kind of sad to see this huge library of work that's very well done, and then just to see where it is now. That goes back to the whole legacy thing too. You know, you whenever you create something like this, it leaves something behind. Somebody in the future will be able to watch this in some form or another. Unless, once again, the world EMPs. Somebody asked, "What TV shows do I like?" Oh God, relevant TV shows. I don't think I don't think there's anything new right now that I really like watching. I was into Game of Thrones for a while, but at a certain point, I was like, see, I don't watch television anymore. The way I watched Game of Thrones was either from somebody's DVD collection or from an online source. I didn't really, I really don't like television that much. I do like shows though. Certain shows I really do like, but they're all like throwback shows. I like Samurai Jack. One of my favorite shows of all time is Ed, Ed and Eddie. I still have the TV that I watched the first episode of Ed, Ed and Eddie on. Ed, Ed and Eddie is a really good slice of life show, but it's also, it has the same concept every single episode, and yet somehow keeps it fresh every single time. And I think due to the fact that you really know the characters and you see the same exact characters throughout the entire show, it's really cool to know how they are and then see how they act in a very certain situation. That's why I like Ed, Ed, and Eddie. That and Rolf is fucking hilarious. Um, One thing to note about Rolf, his voice actor is the same voice actor who did the original Ocean's dub of Goku in Dragon Ball Z. So the guy who's like, double the egg belly, it was also, Krillin, we have to go fight. Okay, since we're on the topic of TV shows, somebody talked about movies. Well, that's where things differ a little bit. I went to a film school. To save the integrity of the film school that I went to, I will not say the name, but I really love movies. I think they're a great escape to be able to, challenge yourself and yet turn your brain off at the same time. I love talking about movies. I love making movies. I love reviewing movies. If I could, I would make a review show online, but there are so many review shows that already exist, and I feel like those are so established that if I started, nobody would really. It would take forever for me to establish something like that. But I love movies. My favorite movie of all time, I can tell you right now, without a shadow of a doubt, is RoboCop. You know, I'm not a very pretentious person. I'm not gonna say it's like, oh, it's Titanic or some kind of big Oscar movie. I'm gonna tell you right now, RoboCop, favorite movie of all time. And there's a very good reason about that. It's a movie that gets to the point, and whenever there is a flashback, it's something relevant to the character, and it doesn't feel extremely forced. Not only that, it's a movie that starts off at the beginning and then ends at the end. Nowadays, whenever a movie happens, they start off somewhere in the middle or the end, and then they rewind and then go through the entire story. As if, I paid money to go watch a movie in the theater, and they think that I'm going to leave the theater because the movie has a slow build-up. On the contrary, movie people, I watch when I go to the movies and I pay money to go see it. I typically will sit through the movie. You know, I think having build-up is perfectly fine. Um, RoboCop dishes that out. The action is really easy to follow. The action is very brutal if you watch the director's cut or like the extended cut of RoboCop. It's extremely violent. Um, get to see a lot more gore and stuff, although the film stock must have degraded over a very long period of time. So whenever you see a scene in there that wasn't in the original theatrical cut, the quality degrades a little bit. It becomes grainy and dark, but I can get over that. It's a movie from the 80s. Somebody talked about, somebody just brought up the fact that, there was the newer RoboCop. I'm talking about the 1980s RoboCop made by Paul Verhoeven. It's a really good movie. It has very quotable lines in it, too. Can you fly, Bobby? Let the woman go. You are under arrest. Bitches leave. And one of my favorite lines of all time, I'd buy that for $1. It's a film about religion. It's a film about somebody finding themselves. It's a film about the corruption of business. It's a film about revenge. It's a film about a superhero before superhero movies became popular. It's just everything, and it's extremely violent. It's funny. It has some very emotional sequences. It has a female protagonist who isn't a damsel in distress. She helps out, and she doesn't end up falling in love with the main character at the end. You know, a lot of people should give RoboCop some fucking praise because it's really neat. Not only that, it has one of the coolest bad guy robots ever, the fucking Ed 209. You have 15 seconds to comply. Do 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 do. Good shit. Good shit. And a lot of surprisingly enough, like, some of it doesn't work, but a lot of the effects works do still fucking hold up really, really well. The final sequence is really bad, and some of the stop motion might turn some people off, but I think honestly, since a lot of the stop motion in that movie is like robots, I think you can get over it, especially since the story and all the other shit in it's pretty good. Do I like RoboCop 2 and 3? Hell no. Fuck those movies. I don't have to acknowledge their existence, though. I do acknowledge that they exist, but they do not take away anything from the first movie. Because I can just say, fuck those movies, they suck. Same thing with the Star Wars prequels. I don't really get angry at those. I can just say, nope, those are not my kind of movie. I don't really like them. Don't need to watch them. I can enjoy Star Wars for what that. I think that's the biggest problem. I cannot enjoy Star Wars for what it is anymore because George Lucas had re-edited the originals and he will never re-release them. So instead of having the original 1970s special effects, you're going to get the 1970s movie with terrible 1990s, early 2000s CG. And I think that's a shame. Although, the highest quality version of Star Wars, the original theatrical cut that you can get, is on Laserdisc. I have a Laserdisc player, and I can easily buy them for a very low price. The other thing about that is I actually have some DVD copies of the Laserdisc version that somebody from China actually gave me a wonderful deal on. So hooray for bootlegging. You can't say I'm a bad guy because it's a fucking movie that doesn't exist anymore. The original cut of Star Wars. If you watch a lot of behind the scenes and a lot of the scenes that they cut out, Star Wars would have been a very weird movie. Ooh, we're already reached the point where I stopped the last stream. So I guess we're gonna get a longer stream this time. I think we're about, goodness, halfway done. So that's good. Probably gonna end it around 2 hours to, I don't know, 2.5 hours. We'll just see how it goes. I hope people are entertained while watching this, or at least they can do other things while listening to this. I know a lot of people like doing that. I do too. I like to listen to the Drunken Peasants podcast while I do other things, just because they have really long form videos, and a lot of them are just like, it's very strange. The Drunken Peasants is comprised of like the amazing atheist, the Paul Zigo, and a few other people, and I find it very strange that they used to hate on Ray William Johnson for commenting on YouTube videos and adding their own commentary, and yet that's kind of what their show has become, is making fun of people online, commenting on their videos and other people's content. So I find it really funny that they were like, oh, Ray William Johnson is stealing other people's content and using it for his own bullshit comedy show, and yet Drunken Peasants are like, yeah, well, it's free speech that we get to make fun of your videos. I think that's a really funny turn of events for them, but I'm still a fan. I really like them. Even though a lot of the stuff they might do, it's 50-50. You know, morally, I don't really like them. I don't like their drug usage, and I really don't like some of the stuff that they fucking talk about. But as entertainers, I think they're fine. And you know what? As I said earlier, that's all that really matters on YouTube. If you're entertained. You know, there ain't no fucking major politics going down on YouTube unless you're like, I don't know, Anita Sarkeesian or something. And even then, you know, it's just whining. Politics has become a whining game. Wine me, dine me, 69 me. I tried 69ing once. I didn't really mind. I didn't really mind, but I really didn't like it either. It was like, I did this once, and I don't think I'm ever gonna do it again. Because, you know, it's a very strange position to be in. It's a very strange and, in some ways, a very uncomfortable position to be in, but, you know, I can see the appeal of it. Is the stream okay? Am I still on? Still on the air? Okay, let's just review what we've done so far. Just make sure we didn't skip anything. Boop, my grandpa had that weird social tick where he would go, ba 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 ba. It's not hereditary though. He was a step grandpa. If you saw my headset when I went to the bathroom, when I put it on the table, it had like a green chunk on it. It's actually like impact foam. I realized that if I cough or if I breathe too hard, it'll show up on the microphone. So I just cut up some foam and stuck it onto my headset. It's a really cheap Walmart headset for like $9. I got it for my PlayStation, but it works pretty fine for this. face, like distress. A little line across the face to show the muzzle of this character because it's like an anthropomorphic cat fox person. I don't know. It's my psychic character in my weird headcanon. I am writing a comic and I am drawing a comic with this character. It's going to be for sale. It's going to be 30 pages long, and it's going to have a very in-depth story, so it's not going to be very fillerish bullshit. And it's going to have a lot of inflation and a lot of popping. So if you're into that, well, it's your lucky day. I don't know. I went for an Asian stereotype there. Rocky. I know a little Japanese. It's really random though. Akabi Daigogun. Watashi wa unshi o motteru. Son desu ka? De tashi ne. Boy oh boy. I think I have a little bit of God, I don't remember what it's called. An illusion of grandeur, or disillusion of grandeur. I don't know. I'm like, oh man, what if I get millions and millions of views doing this? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how I could handle that. I don't know how people who have millions and millions of views handle that kind of shit. I mean, in one way, in one respect, you know, you're not actually meeting millions and millions of people. You're just on your computer. But then again, you also have to think about, like, oh man, thousands upon thousands of people are actually watching your ass. That's always a strange thing to me. I don't know how Elvis dealt with that. Well, I think I do. Drugs, but, you know, I don't do that. There was a time in college where I did that, and I highly regret it. I didn't get, like, busted or anything, but it was an experimental period, and it wrecked my health upon other health problems that I've had. Doing that kind of stuff really messed me up. I think if you're young and, you know, I think if it's legal, fine, you can do it. But, you know, drug use is never really a good thing. As a creative person, I think it actually stifles creativity. Stiffens. God, my grammar is shit. I really need to fucking do some word puzzles or something. Stifles. Creativity. Stipends. Stipend is increasing something. It fucks up creativity. Let's just say that. Mainly, even if you are extremely creative and you have wonderful hallucinations under the substance, you're not competent enough under the substance to actually do anything about it. There are some people who are, and once again, you know, it's a health issue because doing drugs will fuck you up long term. Doing drugs will eventually impair your intelligence, and I think intelligence is really important. Do I watch anime? Why? Yes, I do, but none of it is current. I think the only current anime that I have watched is One Punch Man, and that's because I was a fan of the web comic. I really like the web comic, at least what was actually translated. I thought it was really funny. The shitty art style made me laugh because in a way, it was competent, but in another way, it was really like hastily drawn, if that's a good way to describe it. Um, One Punch Man is really great analysis of like superhero stuff, and I think the show compiles all of the best parts of the comic and puts them together. Um, Most of the anime that I watch is actually fairly old, and it's normally movies. It's never really shows. The only shows that I really watch are Yu Yu Hakusho, Roni Kenshin, the original Dragon Ball, where Goku is a child and they're hunting for Dragon Balls. And it's mainly because those cartoons were about going on adventures, and their adventures would constantly change and be different. And the characters that you come to know deal with those situations in the way that they would. I think a lot of the animes that are created now are just like they're very teeny bopper-ish, you know. Um, they're always about high school or some kind of they're always about children doing something. Um, of course, a lot of the old animes are about children doing things, but nowadays it's actually like, oh, here's a slice of life about school. Here's an extremely violent anime about a psychic who can't be beat and they're just an asshole throughout the entire thing. Here's a weird dystopian drama where you get to see an extremely violent society that just sucks and it's not interesting. A lot of the older stuff was just like, here's a fun adventure, have a blast. You know, here's a fun adventure with relatable characters and an easy to follow plot with a bad guy. Thank you, thank you. Um, there's a moment in Yu Yu Hakusho, especially where you know one thing I came to realize about Yu Yu Hakusho, and to a lesser extent the original Dragon Ball, is that the bad guys have a reason for what they're doing, and it's a very character motivated reason. A lot of shows don't really do that anymore. There are a few, JoJo's Excellent Adventure, or whatever the fuck it's called. I just don't like the art style of that one. That's a very personal gripe, and I know it's unfair, but it's unfair to judge a show based off of that. But it's just like, if I'm going to spend hours watching something, I want it to be pleasing to my aesthetics. But going back to it, I think a lot of shows miss the point that a bad guy should have a fairly decent reason, even if it's just like very, even if it's a very selfish and stupid reason. If they have a character motivated reason for what they're doing, it's good. Nowadays it's just like, here is villain 32 of the week, or Casey's a bitch, and the other characters are not going to stand for this. I don't know. There's a moment in Yu Yu Hakusho where Tagoro, you know, Tagoro is just like, oh, Tagoro is one of the villains in Yu Yu Hakusho, and his entire point is to find somebody who is really strong that can beat him. And because at a certain point he reached such a high power level that he's just like, I just want to die. No one can challenge me. I think that's a very, it's a very stock concept, but I think what made it work was the fact that he was a very human portrayal of that kind of thing. He had morals. they were fucked up and skewed morals, but when he was doing a job, he was told to kill an animal, and he said, I don't want to kill this creature, but because I'm under contract, I have to, so I'll give you a quick death. Adding that little bit, adding that little, like, semblance of a code makes him a much more interesting character than if he was just straight up evil. Another thing, I think it might have been like it might have been just like a weird fluke comedy moment, but I think it really adds a lot to the character. He just murdered like an entire room of people, and then one of the characters asks if he would like a drink, and he says, I won't have anything alcoholic, I'll have a juice on ice. Or I'll have an orange juice. For some reason or another, that just makes him feel a lot more human. So it in a way, for his entire character arc, it makes it more tragic that he went down this dark road. There's a semblance of a human there, but the path that he went down was bad. Yeah. Not only that, I've come to figure out that a lot of the animes that I like uh, tend to be very Western in the style of storytelling. The animes that I dislike are actually very, very, very Japanese. One Punch Man is kind of an exception to that. That's a very kind of Japanese feeling thing, but just a lot of Japanese media, due to Japan's history of excessive violence and death, especially in like the samurai codes, and you know the fact that you could get killed because you didn't bow when a samurai was passing. A lot of media that is created by Japan tends to look at what is the what is life, and what is the value of a single life, or what is the value of multiple lives. you know so a lot of these shows will end up like killing off a whole bunch of people that you care about, and it, that are just needlessly killing off characters, because I think you can kill off characters if it serves the story, but a lot of times they just murder like indiscriminately a lot, and it just makes you feel really, really negative about the whole situation. That, or sometimes their morals will be in a really weird place. Like, I watched a show called Gun Girls or whatever. It's on Netflix. It's about these assassin girls that are brainwashed. They're like these small teenage girls that are fucking brainwashed and then turned into assassins. And they're made to, the way that the story is focused, it makes them look like the protagonists. And I think morally that's not good, because it's advocating. Sorry. It's advocating kidnapping and child soldiering as a positive. And I think that's really fucked up and a very strange thing to have. It's kind of like how a lot of people who watch Death Note. Sorry, I'm having a coughing fit. My apologies. It's kind of like how a lot of people who watch Death Note, Kira in Death Note, the person who has the actual book that kills, is the bad guy. And he shifts to bad guy mode extremely quick. So there's no arc for him to become bad guy. And yet, there are a lot of people that I've met who state that Kira, or Killer, or whatever, is the main character and he's the good guy. He's the good guy. Just because he's the main character doesn't mean that he is the good guy. And I think, in a way, the fans' perspective of that show really makes me feel disgusted, because that character murders indiscriminately multiple, hundreds, thousands of people. And he's supposed to be the good guy, even though everyone else is trying to fucking kill him or find out who he is and stop him. You know, and I just, it's such a depressing atmosphere, such a depressing environment that whenever, and a lot of animes are like that. A lot of animes ask these questions over and over, like, what is the value of one life? What is the value of multiple lives? And they do it in the least subtle way possible, and that's what turns me off to a lot of anime. Yes, I do need water. My voice is killing me, so let's. I will be drinking El Topo Chico mineral water made in Mexico. If I can find a bottle opener, because if I can't, then I'm screwed. I know I have one over here somewhere. Boop, 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 boop. Here we go. I have a Nuka-Cola bottle opener. We're going to open this off to the side because this sprayed everywhere last time I opened it. I could gently open it, let it fizz a little bit, and then just pop it out. Oh god, it's gonna fucking break the... It's gonna break the bottle opener. Jesus, it's like an industrial strength fucking bottle cap. Holy crap, it actually bent. Huh, neat. Alright, very sorry, I'm gonna take a swig real quick. Oh goodness, that's good. Oops, my knee slammed against something. Alright. We're back on the road again. I think I need to get a guest on in future episodes. Maybe someone else who was streaming. Man, oh man. This is not good. I think I need a guest on just in case I run out of material. Then I can do interviews and stuff like that. Because, you're getting this fetish and a lot of other stuff from the sole perspective of me. There are a lot of different facets to this kind of stuff, and a lot of different, a lot of different artists. There are people who are, I consider way better than me. I think the one thing that I have, I think there are a lot of artists who are way better than me, objectively speaking. However, I think the one thing that I can do fairly decently is to construct a narrative with imagery. Construct a narrative with images. I have persistency. I really sit down and do nothing but create in very long blocks, kind of like this. And what I also do that, I think separates me yes. Uh, this thing 3456 in the comments stated, what is this exactly? Yes, it is an animation stream. Just to review, I've been coughing up a fit. We have a character that's blowing themselves up like a balloon, and then it kind of like, shifts around, very cartoonish. It's fun. I think it's funny. Goodness. I had a disgusting coughing fit, and I apologize. There we go. That's a better angle. What was I talking about? I don't even remember. Shit. It'll come back to me. I think the biggest danger of me talking like this and doing streams like this is people are gonna fucking fall asleep. There we go. I had a very long diatribe about something. Do you prefer animation or acting at this point? Well, the thing is, acting. I actually prefer doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff as opposed to acting. Um, with online videos, it kind of ends up being whoever creates something with a camera, you know. But in actual video production, there's a lot of like, there's editing, lighting, there's writing, there's a whole bunch of stuff that needs to get done for a project to get completed. And when it's a bigger project, you need more people, and those people need to be in sync in order to get the project done and consistent. And there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that never really gets talked about or is always taken for granted. Like, do you even know what a line producer is? You probably don't know, but it's fucking important. I guarantee you. Uh, what is a script supervisor? That's a very important job. But when they're doing the Oscars, they don't really talk about them that much, do they? So I like doing behind the scenes stuff. The only reason why I get in front of the camera and do what I do is because I'm working on my own. I don't really have any actors that I can get offhand. I'm gonna fix a mess up that I did right here. You see, I fucked up this line, and I'm just gonna go into the computer later, and I'm gonna fix that. I can just easily erase that once it's in the computer, which helps a lot. Goodness gravy. Okay, that's what was missing. A little arm here, and a little arm there. God gracious. I think it's mainly because I'm talking in a very hushed tone. I think that's why my voice is getting aggravated. I do have other people living in this household, and they're sleeping right now, so I gotta stay quiet. That I don't want to peak the audio, so that's also important. Boy, oh boy, what else is there actually to talk about? Ay, 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 ay. I don't even know anymore. Oh, here's a good question. Question from myself. A lot of people may not know this. Why do I like furries, or why do I draw furries? There's two stages to this. The number one and the really basic answer is furries are really easy to draw. Instead of having to draw like smooth people, you can like exaggerate it with hair. Furries with their ears, they can emote more because you have their face, their tail, and their ears, and you can show emotion. Show emotion doing that. But another thing, the other reason why I draw furries is because as a child I watched the movie Rockadoodle, and that was a mistake. Rockadoodle is a really weird, fucked up movie, and I'm pretty sure a lot of furries that exist now watched that movie as a child. Um, it's a very weird movie, and it has a lot of sexualized characters in the form of anthropomorphized animals. And it has catchy music, but all of it is terrible. So that's the other thing. My daddy told me how to sing, and that's why he taught me everything. Sun, do shine, you let it shine. Just think about this for a moment. I haven't seen that movie in about 7 years, and I guarantee you I remember half of the lyrics of most of the songs, which is kind of fucked, you know? Maybe you can talk about what software you on the PC you use. I use a Macintosh, so all of my programs are actually geared towards the Apple suite. But for video editing, I use Final Cut Pro. For I do most of my special effects in there. I do a lot of stuff in Final Cut Pro. It's a really good program. It's internal memory, so you don't have to worry about constantly saving your project if it crashes. What ends up happening is it automatically saves for you. It doesn't save. That's the weird thing about it. It kind of like remembers exactly what you've done. So at any point in time, you can turn it off and then go back to it, which is really neat. For animations and stuff like that, I tend to use that as well. I just put it in the video editing software if I want to add sound to it. If I want to turn it into a animated GIF, I use Photoshop. Photoshop CS6. I also use for music or sounds. I use GarageBand. GarageBand's a pretty cool program. I think it's Mac exclusive, but it's really good. I still use Audacity from time to time because Audacity has a really good pitch program in it, while GarageBand's pitch shifting really sucks. For some reason or another, it's very mechanical in the way that it does pitch shifting. So, you know, once in a while I'll turn on Audacity to shift something. God, what other programs do I use? From time to time, I might dabble in Flash. The recent video game I made was made in God, what was it? It wasn't FPS Maker. It was God, what program did I use to make that? I don't even remember. I'm a very with the programming, I'm a very casual person. I really use like drag and drop stuff. I'm more of an artist than a programming guru. I think I used like vector something or whatever. I don't remember what it was called. I won't use the program again because it's very limited, and apparently some people have problems with opening the file. So some people have very big bugs and glitches. The only other program I really used was Game Maker. Once again, I'm not good at programming, and that's very programming focused. So I'm probably going to drop that and never use it again. If anything, I might use RPG Maker. I might make an RPG as a next game. Maybe that'll work out. I think RPGs lend themselves to art and storytelling a lot more than other games. That, or I might make a waifu desu kind of like dating game or whatever. I hate those, but they make money, I'll tell you that. There wouldn't be any love for that project, though. Oh boy. My dad told me how to sing, and that's why it taught me everything. Sun do shine, you let her shine, you let her shine. Fuck that movie. Okay, this is going to be really exaggerated, so I don't really have to make it look that good. Like, this is where in the cadence of the animation, or the flow of the animation, is going to be very quick, and it's going to have a lot of stretch and skewing. So I don't really have to worry that much about the quality of this. Like, the only way people notice this kind of stuff is if they like sit down and pause and all that shit. And at that point, it's one of those things where it's like, this is not how it was supposed to be viewed. Besides, once again, if the story's good, or what you're trying to get out of it is there, then it doesn't really matter. Matter is made of stuff. I can't remember the scientist's name, but I really like that Asian guy. The way he talks about astrophysics is really good. Just reminds me of like any kind of schooling. Update's ready to install. Ew, no. Remind me tomorrow. Somebody on a comment from the last stream I did, I don't know what they were referencing per se, but I do know it's like they did ask in some extent why I don't really comment on the videos and art that I do. And one of the reasons why I don't really comment back is comments tend to be very generic. Like, they're either praise, hate, or some kind of weird joke. Comments that I tend to respond back to are comments that either tickle my fancy or they're just comments that have some weight behind them. Like if there's criticism, like if there's real criticism, or if there's some kind of like really nice comment or some kind of really, it needs to be a challenging comment. I would say, if it's a challenging comment that that deserves a response, then it will get a response. I don't waste my time reading comments on YouTube videos, or I don't really waste my time reading comments on a lot of different media. It's just a lot of the comments are really, really stupid. Like whenever somebody said YouTube comments are terrible, and then I was like, are they really? I looked it up. I went to any type of YouTube that I could find, and almost always the comments would be just like, they would be nothing. It, it wouldn't even be related to the video that it came from, right? It would just be a whole bunch of memes, a whole bunch of jokes that don't work, and then a whole bunch of like angry comments that have nothing to do with it. Yeah. Okay. This is where the character's deflating in like a circular spiral pattern. If you don't know what this is referencing and you kind of want to get a glimpse at what this is going to end up looking like, in my YouTube, there's a video of Donald Duck going through several transformations and inflating. That's basically what I'm homaging here. Just with a female character who has a little bit more anatomy than Donald Duck. Okay. There we go. That's a very weird angle. One that probably, that's another thing. I think inflation only really works in a cartoonish style. Uh, in in larger forms, I think it only works in cartoonish styles because once you have too much anatomy, I think the concept alone doesn't really work. Just because it's such a cartoon kind of thing. There are some people who are really good at doing inflation that are really good fucking artists. I can't remember the name of them. I talk to him a lot on Discord. Not a lot. I talk to him once in a while on Discord, but Drake Okami, I think his name is. I probably mispronounced that or said it incorrectly. He does a lot of furry stuff, but a lot of his anatomy is really good. Even for something that breaks the confounds of anatomy. I think His stuff is really good. Once again, I think going to talking about my analysis of the inflation fetish. I talked about, there are multiple different types and multiple different ways that people get off to inflation and stuff like that. Well, it's kind of true because there's no one set fixed standard for it, because there's no it's not biologically natural, and the way that you come to the fetish will possibly be different, and the way that you experience that fetish will be different. So, there are a lot of people who, oh well, you're not talking about vor, you're not talking about weight gain that much, you're not talking about this, you're not talking about this kind of inflation, and it's like, well, as I said, there are millions upon like hundreds and hundreds of different fucking inflation types that it's impossible to talk about them all consistently and concisely, and even if I did, new ones might sprout up. So I think painting a really broad brush and then figuring out where you are on the scale is a lot more important. I really wish that I could put music on here, but I'm never sure what is copyright and what isn't copyright. I could always use Incompetech music, but I think the only thing that I would be able to use is their classical music section, and even then I might run out of music and then it'll just loop. Yeah, I just think that simple music really cuts a lot of the dead air whenever you're not talking. God damn, my voice. Having that a lot lately. Maybe it's because I'm talking more. Oh my god. Oh, goodness gravy. Oh, fucked up my comment thing. Oh, Jesus. Oh, I'm looking over. I guess I got my head in frame a few times. I hope that didn't deter anyone. And the weird green block of cheese that I put on my fucking... Let's just review what we have so far. I'm gonna go through it slowly because video compression always kind of fucks with this kind of thing. The way that the video compresses on the way that it's being live streamed, I forgot the exact term for it, but what it is it remembers all of the frames that aren't moving, and then the frames that do change and move, those are the things that get shifted. That way each image isn't being rendered, and doing that, it doesn't take up a whole bunch of processing power. That's why if, for instance, I move this around like that, it'll look really blocky until it starts to sit still again. And that creates a lot of problems, and I think a lot of people don't seem to realize that that's a thing. It's the same thing with fucking autofocus. Jesus Christ. If you're a YouTuber and you make a video, turn the fucking autofocus off and focus on what you're fucking making. The autofocus, like, if you are zoomed in and you have the autofocus on, the autofocus tries to look for either what is composing the most of the frame or a face. So if it thinks it recognizes a face in the background, it's going to zoom in on that instead of whatever you have. Or if you have a small item that you want to show to the camera and you have your autofocus on, what ends up happening is the autofocus will be like focusing on shit in the background or focusing on everything but the item that you put in front of the camera. So I don't know, it's just a big fucking peeve of mine because seeing shit out of focus is not good for your eyes. And if you're supposed to be focusing on something and it's out of focus, that just gives you a fucking headache. There's a lot of videos online where people fuck up great videos with the fucking focus. Man, if it sounds like me getting really pissed off about something, yeah, that's if there's anything that pisses Cleverfoxman off, it's fucking focus in videos. Like Hocus Pocus by Focus. Yeah. Obscure 70s reference. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Boy, howdy. What else is happening in my life right now? I don't know. My life's pretty boring. I make it interesting. That's the thing. I myself, at least judging by other people's reactions towards me, I find myself to be a very entertaining person. This may not be a good portrayal of that. The way that you get in front of a camera and the way that you act away from the camera is very different. Somebody who's very bombastic in front of the camera might be very shy in real life, and vice versa. So you just never know. Personally, I'm highly animated when I'm not in front of the camera or I'm not being voiced. I just think, if you're going to listen to something for an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours or 4 hours and it's not a fucking movie, you kind of don't want it to be extremely irritating would be the term. I'm not trying to be irritating. Some of the shit I say might be irritating, but my voice, I could be talking like this the entire time and it would be very fucking annoying. Oh, my pussy. Oh, Aaron. And then I think this deflates and then goes to a close-up, and then for the close-up we're going to be using the thicker marker. Some kind of weird pompadour thing makes her look like the fucking Monkey King. Monkey King. Goodness, I'm all over the place. What fucking time is it? Oh, 10? Ooh. That's way past my bedtime. It's not. I go to sleep at like 3. God, I'm sorry if you guys live in like California or some shit, because it's probably. Actually, no, it's early. Fuck you. I joke. I kid. No, whenever whenever I watch a stream from California, that's always the terrible thing, because it's like, I can go on forever, and yet here it's like 3 a.m. and I'm like, ugh. Is their hand on their knee in the last frame? Yes, okay. Because I almost did a boo-boo, a fuck-up, if you will. Yeah, I'll see if I can do video game streams or something like that. I know that's more of a Twitch thing, but I fucking hate Twitch and the community around it. That's a personal gripe. My friend uses Twitch. He has his own channel. I don't want to cite me with him, though, you know. I don't think he wants to be associated on his Twitch channel with a fucking inflation fetishist. But, yeah, at least he doesn't want that with his image. But, I just don't like the Twitch community. I don't like the streaming style on there. That's a very, very personal gripe. If you find the medium that you're comfortable with, you can make shit. Not everyone can make beautiful. Not everyone wants to use construction paper, and not everyone can make things out of construction paper. But if you're the one person who does use construction paper, you'll be that one person, and you'll be special. And no one else can take that away from you. Just be sure just try to make yourself the best at doing that, or make something really unique that no one else would think about. With a lot of inflation comics that I make, I tend to either make it extremely violent, extremely visceral, or I try to change things up a little bit so that it's a little bit more interesting than other inflation comics. A lot of them really suck. There are a few people online who make good inflation comics. Gray of PTA is very self-aware and makes really funny stuff. There's a few others. His pal, the bird person, I forgot what their fucking name was, but they make pretty good stuff. Gil Panda, even though that's more weight gain stuff, they make really, it's very sexualized, but it's in a very Disney style, so I don't know, it's very weird, but at the same time it's very pleasing to see Gil Panda's stuff. A throwback, kind of like Milky Body, would be Bloober Boy, although Bloober Boy doesn't really make comics. I really like Bloober Boy's art style. I'm gonna keep saying Bloober Boy. He's on DeviantArt. I don't think he has a fur affinity, and if he does, I don't think he uses it that much. And if he does, he does. If he does, he does. Fucking Arnold. I love him. He's great. That wasn't an Arnold quote, though, now that I think about it. That was a Dolph Lundgren quote. Get my fucking shit mixed up. Now, if you're starting off drawing, if you use a thicker outline, you're actually able to accomplish a lot more than with a thinner line. A thinner line is when you're able to do a lot more quality, and if you're starting off, you gain quality over time. When you start off, your line should be a lot thicker, and that will actually, you should focus more on doing simplistic art styles, something very basic. For example, just let's say, take our bathroom sign for a moment and just flip this over. For instance, if you're starting off, you just create a V shape hair there. Put a weird number 7 there. Put a weird number 7 there. Eyeball, eyeball, eyebrow, eyebrow, nose, mouth. Super simple. Neck, shirt line, shoulder, shoulder, shoulder mark. Go down, straight down. The body is a box. Line, line. Okay. Super simple art style. Thick outlines, and it looks stylized. If you tried to do that with a thinner, and smaller pen, what ends up happening is it just looks off, and it doesn't work out. Pardon me. Going back to this, it's like I talk about rambling bullshit, and then once in a while I'll say something profound and like teach you something. That's Cleverfoxman. Barrel of laughs. Bucket of titties. Boy, oh boy. And then I have to erase all of these lines and then scan them in. I'll get over it. I think it's worth doing to beat Mabo. I want to beat him at making this animation. He's working on his own animation right now. Milky Body on DeviantArt and on For Affinity. He is working on an animation where his character Suki's stomach is getting filled up with something, like I think it's coins or something like that, and then she spits them out. Coins or rocks, I don't know. That animation, I think the jiggle physics on it look really good. So, if you have the chance, check that out. When it comes out, you can see his progress on it in his streams. I know he streams a lot. He doesn't speak like I do, so if you're tuning in that, you might want to use your own music library. Because, I don't know, his music tastes aren't mine. I think that's another reason why I don't prefer music over me talking when I do streams. It's just, I don't want to be that guy. Like, if you don't care what I'm saying and you just want to see me do art, you can just mute me, right? And then listen to your own fucking music. I think, if I'm going to stream, if I'm going to put myself out there and I'm going to stream and I'm going to do something, I might as well, like, share my thoughts, opinions, my views, or maybe just bullshit about what I'm doing, because, if you're going to watch me for hours doing something, maybe you want to know why I'm doing it, what I'm doing. Did the chat shit itself? Is the chat still working? Let me check real quick. I'm going to do a little status update on my stream. That way I can see if everything's up to date. Okay. There we go. Alright. Another thing that's great about thick outlines is that you can produce, and once you get good at drawing, you'll start to be able to draw faster. And with thicker outlines, you can draw extremely fast. Because if you draw with pencil, the pencil will be really thin, but then you can fill in those gaps. You can fill in those tiny gaps with a very large medium. Or, when I say medium, I say the artistic tool, so the pen. if you fill it in with a thick pen, it just becomes way easier, simpler, and it flows really well. If I had to pick what kind of marker to use, I would definitely say Faber-Castell. It's a German company. They have different types of art pens and different types of markers. But if you're going cheap, you can get Sharpie pens, different types of pens. You just have to find out what works for you. Just be careful because lower quality, cheaper stuff, though it costs less, tends to have more problems with it. Like, those bleed. Like, those type of markers bleed through paper, and they can mess up the image underneath it. If I was using a Sharpie, I would not be able to do this animation because, for instance, if I did that with a Sharpie, it would show up on the next page. This doesn't bleed through paper. The ink in it is not artificial. It's made out of certain natural materials, and due to that, it's not really produced in the same like ammonia kind of way. It's not really alcoholic, so it doesn't bleed through the shit. And that's quality versus quantity. You can buy a shitload of Sharpies, but they die quick. They bleed through things. They bleed on the paper too. So when you draw with a Sharpie, if you leave that Sharpie on the paper too long, it creates a really nasty smudged up image. So always keep that in mind. Cheap doesn't put you back, but quality always makes you look better. Don't go overboard though. These pens are like $3 each. This Faber-Castell is like $3-4, and that I mean, just look at how much crap that I completed with these Faber-Castell. Just 2 pens. I created like 50 different images. Boobies. There we go. Okay, draw the knuckles on this side. Don't get hung up about drawing hands. Just do the best you can. Don't try to hide your hands. If you do, try to make it look natural. Maybe frame a close-up shot to where all you see is the head and the shoulders, or if you do inflation stuff like I do, maybe have the body in the way of the hands so you can't really see them. But if you're going to be an artist and you really want to exceed, if you really want to excel at being an artist, and you want to excel fast, the quickest way is to forget about everything that you want to draw and just focus on doing hands. Because if you can figure out how to draw hands and make them look visually appealing, you can basically draw anything else. Hands are very strange beasts. And if I can, and if I may, I'll show you guys a really quick and stupid way to draw hands. Yeah, you can draw hands in pockets. That is one thing, but if every single character that you have has their hands in their pockets, people are going to be like, "Man, this guy must be really bad at drawing hands, or just doesn't like drawing hands." I think the key is once again, if you find multiple ways of doing that, but I think if you really sit down and spend a lot of time learning how to draw hands and learning how to draw hands well, you'll excel because then you don't have to worry about drawing hands. You know, it being afraid of drawing hands or begrudging drawing hands limits what you can draw. I'll show you guys how to do a really quick and easy way to draw hands right when I'm done doing this. Maybe you guys will appreciate that. I might make a separate tutorial video on how to draw hands that'll be more concise and not off the cuff. Here we have the quote-unquote O face, the afterglow. Here we go. Oh boy, my head is covering the shit up. My bad. It's getting late and I'm really trying to finish this. Eyeball. Eyelash. Eyeball. Eyelash. Pupil. Pupil. Goodness, it's devolved to me just explaining exactly what I'm drawing. I'm so sorry. At least I'm not Markiplier playing Doom, am I right? Haha. Oh god, what a shitty, like, once again, I really liked Markiplier, and I was a really big fan of him. I watched a lot of his stuff during college, and I have much respect for him. But man, is his Doom Let's Play fucking terrible. It's here's here is a summary of his entire Let's Play. I'm gonna talk about something. Oh wow, ooh, gore. Oh man, I'm just gonna talk about something now. I'm gonna try to compose myself. Ooh, gore, ooh, gore, ooh, gore. I'm like, oh fuck. You do realize this is Gore the game, right? If you freak out every single time there's gore, you're gonna be very winded. You know, I waited for the Undertale. I waited for him to play Undertale all the way through, and I was very disappointed that it ended up turning into a stream thing than a Let's Play. I haven't watched it. Um, I think the game, I think, not the Game Grumps, but Steam Train, or whatever Ross did with Barry on the Game Grumps channel. I think that's a really, really good Let's Play. And I think the fact that, I think Sans sounding kind of like Skeletor kind of came from the Game Grumps Let's Play. And the fat voice, you know, I think their influence on it is duly noted. I think this was going to be the background. Let's draw that really quick. And I think we're pretty much fucking done. I think there's one more thing I'm gonna do, and that's just a frame of a character talking, and that's gonna be it. So, bam. We have like a weird block here. And we can just add some lines on the ground with the thinner pen. I like drawing lines on the ground. It kind of makes it, I don't know, you can cheat perspective by drawing extra shit. So, I'm not going to forget about me teaching a simple way to draw hands. I need to kind of remind myself. So, in the scheme of this animation, I'm going to have this character say "now blow," kind of like in the original Donald Duck cartoon. So this character will be like "and blow," and then the weird inflation garbage will happen. Ooh, sorry, I'm gassy, but I'm also really dry, so I don't know. It's like a weird desert belchy. I don't know. My body's desert. Oh, that doesn't sound right. I'm sorry. My body's a desert. And that's why my girlfriend likes me. Haha. These are all the different mouths that I'm going to end up using. I draw them all on the same plane, that way I can get the scale of them. There we go. I think that's all the mouths. Now I just need to finish up Jen, one of my older characters. I drew her roughly the same time as my character Bob, but I never really ended up using her up until now. And then when I killed off Bob, I started using her way more. Until like other story events may or may not happen, Bob is pretty much dead. The weird inflationist sniper. I realized the way I drew the eyes on this kind of reminds me of the Viz Pop art style. I must have been watching that when I drew it at the time. That and the weird elongated face. But as I said, it doesn't really translate to ink sometimes. Oop. Shoulders. I always do like these exaggerated fucking shoulders. There we go. We have our character, and I believe that's the whole animation. Let's cycle through it real quick. this is a separate image. Goodness, where did I put that? I keep saying goodness. I'm not obligated to censor myself, so I don't know why. I guess I'm just trying not to say fuck a lot. I think it's kind of disheartening when you're watching something and then there's just way too much cursing. So this is like the deflation. And then it continues to the close-up where it turns into a smile. That's the background. And then the rest of it fucking disappeared on me. Oh, duh, it's right there. I'm dumb. So we have the whole animation. Once again, I'm going to cycle through this slowly so you guys can see it frame by frame. That and the shadow that's being cast is really huge, so try to give you guys enough image time. Typically when I animate, I don't animate in sequence. I normally draw a whole bunch of talking heads, which is basically the last thing that I drew, where you have a still image with a bunch of mouths. It's just when you do something along these lines, like very frame by frame animation, something that's very animated and moving, you tend to want to do that at the same time. That way it stays consistent. But you can do things out of order as long as you have it planned. Alright, so that's the whole animation. I promised to do a quick tutorial on how to draw simple hands. So, to illustrate this, I'm going to use a, yeah, you know what, I'm just going to use my pen here. So, a hand, when you really look at it, like, I have weird, like, arthritis hands, so don't take my hands as an example, but, so, a hand is comprised of a palm, and then fingers coming off of it. So these fingers shoot up in that direction, and then you have a thumb that's crooked and then jabs out and up. So right there we already have a hand. So if we take a blank piece of paper and then think about it in more detail. So we have our palm. The palm is actually divided into 3 parts. So there's a part that folds up like so, which is this piece, and then there's another part that folds with the knuckles along here. So that's this piece. Now we have one joint that's directly in the hand on every single finger. So joint, 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 joint. We have another joint and then another joint. So we have 3 joints. So 1 circle, 2 circle, 3 circle, 2 circle, 3 circle, 2 circle, 3 circle, 2 circle, 3 circle. Then all you need to do is draw a line around these circles. See? Now the thumb is a little different. See how this is kind of like a chicken wing? So what ends up happening is the thumb kind of actually comes off of this. And the strangest way for me to describe it is it comes up, and then once again it has a circle. You know, let's just keep the circle method. Circle, and then it bends inward and over. So these fingers go in one direction, this goes in a completely different direction. So we have another circle. So we bring it up to that, and then we add the end of the thumb. This isn't to scale. This is just to show you the method. You draw the hand to an arm, See? And the great thing about drawing it like this is, so let's say you want to do a different angle, something like this. So you would end up drawing the palm again, but at a weirder, like a different shape. Like it would be more skewed. So then all you would need to do is draw circle, circle. There's your thumb. Draw a circle, circle, circle. There's your first finger. Circle, circle, circle. There's your second finger. And you just keep doing that, you know. And then you can add the crease lines like so, and then the arm. Now, I'm doing this with pen. The way you would do it and not have it look like a whole bunch of circles is you would do it with a pencil. You would do all of this stuff with a pencil, and then you would keep the outline that you have. Eventually you'll get to the point where you don't really need the circles as a guide anymore, but as a starting point, you know, you have all these circles and shit. When you do it in pencil, you draw the outline of everything and then you just erase it. You draw you erase all of your all of the different methods that you use, and then you just add your detail. And if you're not confident drawing hands, the best way that you can get around it is by drawing gloves. So instead of having to draw a very accurate hand, all you need to do is make it kind of look a little bit like a glove, and then you can add a whole bunch of detail that wouldn't normally be on a hand, but would be on a glove. That's my little hand tutorial for you guys. I hope you guys liked my stream. I thank you guys for watching, and I'm going to let it rest on the standby image for a little bit, and then I'm going to turn it off. So once again, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys learned something. Have a wonderful night.